Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Horizen Weekly Insider number 62. Today is October 19, and happy Monday to you all. We are live now on YouTube and Discord. And as you know, this call will be available also for you to check out later in our Horizen podcast. Also, please remember to be asking your questions on Menti while this call is happening so we can have our regular Q&A session at the end. Without further ado, I'll pass now the word to Luca to give us the engineering updates.
Thank you, Angie. Luca here together with Alberto. Thanks, everybody. And today we start with Rosetta, the Rosetta topic, which is on top of our priority list. So, Alberto, please.
Yes, thanks, Luca. Okay, yes, let's start with Rosetta. So we almost completed the logic implementation of Rosetta. I mean, the interfacing of our Zendi to the Rosetta one, and in particular, currently we are testing all the functionalities, and we are one of the last thing that is remaining is a failing test. Probably due to some signature issues. So we're working on it, and we expect to fix it soon. So, I mean, good progress here, almost finished. After these, we will move forward to adapt the integration tests of Rosetta CLI to our implementation. Okay, let's switch to main chain and in particular to ZenD. We and I mean in relation to the next release, we introduced a last minute change that has been already tested and everything seems to be fine and now ready for release. Always related to ZD, we are also still working on the addition of halving related unit tests. And these are unit tests that are going to be published in the next phases. So not in this release, but after. But we have already started working on that. Okay, regarding the proofs workshop, let's call it in this way. So the workshop already discussed what is needed to be proven in the sidechain, what are all the statements, the single circuits that we have to build, what are the changes on the SDK side, all this stuff. So we have been continuing to do this workshop session the last week and also one just this morning. And currently, I mean, we are going through the detailed analysis of the base transition, let me say. And also today we have also started looking deeper about the bit vector. So how we prove that a particular UTXO is left unchanged between epochs. So this is something that needed to be formalized to then proceed with the specific circuit implementation. So we already started to work on that. Related to the proving system, we had some great results, and in particular about the GPU tests. So, as if I'm not wrong, I already mentioned this the last Weekly Insider. We have integrated the Filecoin implementation about the GPU, and in particular about multiscalar multiplication. And so we integrated in our Ginger lib, and so we saw already 17x times performance improvements compared to the CPU implementation. So, and considering that multiscalar multiplication is one of the most expensive operation using proof generation, this is very, 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 very promising. I mean, these numbers has obviously to be normalized by hardware costs. So, I mean, so this is another element, but for sure, seems that there is a, a good chances of good performance improvements if we are using the GPU implementation for it. Okay. Regarding the SDK, we have been working in the 2 weeks ago about let me say a new way for generating the nonce of the boxes and how to enforce it in the consensus. And the implementation was already done, but now we are working on reviewing it. So review currently in progress. We have been working on fixing some issues that were open on GitHub. So the fixes are currently under review. And always related to the SDK, we did, and I mean this in reality affects the SDK and also the Zendu main chain CryptoLib and sidechain CryptoLib. We decided to create a new Rust library that is specific for cross-chain transfer protocol common implementation. So we will use this library as a container of all the Rust implementation related to the cross-chain transfer protocol. And this library will be used by both Zendu mainchain and sidechain CryptoLib, and then exposed to the sidechain, to the SDK, and to the mainchain. I mean, we could have used the Ginger lib, but we didn't want to mix, let me say, something that is really specific to our Zendu protocol to Ginger lib that is meant to be quite a generic, let me say, snark-oriented library. And so we are going to create a new one. Okay, the last thing about the SDK is that and in particular, the an optimization on the forger logic we have been working on, and this is something related also to some issues that we had in the past about some sidechain that has been seized. Okay, we had an issue on let's say a performance issue in main chain block references inclusion. So we have been working on it, and we introduced, let me say, in the WebSocket communication between the sidechain and the main chain additional comments that allowed much faster exchange of this data between the main chain and the sidechain. And so this has uh, this is currently in progress and the implementation of it. And I think that should be all for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alberto. So, of course, we remain available for any engineering related question at the end. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, Alberto and Luca. Now let's welcome Chronic to give us the infra updates.
Yeah, happy Monday, everybody. So I'm currently working on getting Zen 2022 released. We are shortly before merging to master, and then following binaries will be built, generated, signed, uploaded. This process usually takes a day or so. So I would expect binary availability tomorrow. Once everything is finished with the release, we will also update everybody through the usual communication channels. So we will have a blog post, we will reach out to all of our partners, and we will reach out to node operators as well. One thing of note this time around, this is a soft fork release. It's no major changes, but still this means that we have to be a little stricter on the tracking system with the version enforcement of version 2022. And as soon as the deprecation date hits, the new version will be enforced on the tracking system. That's all from me. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, Chronic. Let's continue with Jonathan to give us the growth updates.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Jonathan here. So on the growth side, in terms of metrics, we're seeing pretty much equivalent to what we saw last week. We're seeing steady and increasing growth across wallets, emails, and new users, old users. So not much in terms of metrics changes, no swings up or down. What I will say is this week I'll be focused on referrals. And what I mean by that is a big portion of the growth that we're seeing is from people referring Zen and telling their friends and family about Zen. And so brainstorming ways of facilitating that process and increasing that process. So some of the ideas that we have include a monthly referral competition. So maybe, for example, the top 10 referrers have some sort of incentive every month to refer. So maybe that's some Zen swag, or maybe that's a discount to the store or something like that. Another one is giving all referrers access to some cool Zen banners that they could share on their Telegram groups or social media or emails. Another one is basically having different tiers of referrers. So maybe, for example, we have a master referrer who has like a special privilege on our Discord because he's referred over 100 people or something like that. So we have incentives, we have tiers, we have access to banners, and I'm going to be doing a lot of research into referral programs this week to see how we can improve Zen's referral program. It's already doing really well. This is, again, just how do we supercharge growth so that it's at a 10x of what we're doing today. So if anyone on this call who's listening has any ideas, has been a part of a program that's worked, or has seen something that has worked, please let me know. Gustavo, anything from you?
Not this week. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, guys. Let's continue with Dean to give us the BD and operations updates.
Thanks, Angie. So, Jonathan, I would consider a rewards token something that might fit nicely into a sidechain, for example. I just throw that out there for you to ponder. On the BD, yeah, I really like that idea. On the BD side, so just to remind everybody, I've taken over for Rowan. And the way we've broken down the BD team is Vano is handling all of our existing partnerships and integrations, and Caspers is creating a funnel for new sidechain partnerships. And so I'm going to turn it over first to Vano to talk about our existing partnerships, and then to Caspers. Vano?
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Dean. No new partnership updates for today, but we are continuing our work with several upcoming ones mentioned before, and I'm working closely with Rowan to make sure that the transition is as smooth as possible for our partners as well as for us, and everything is going well without issues. Basically, I'm getting in touch with our existing partners and making sure that we are all good on both sides, and there are no issues. That's it from me, and I pass it to Caspers.
Thank you, Dean and Vano. Hi, everyone. This is Caspers. It's my first update on the Weekly Insider regarding BD team's work on new sidechain partnerships. I would like to therefore give you a quick overview of what we have done so far in the last couple of weeks. So we are indeed developing a partnerships funnel to target projects and developers to basically join our sidechains ecosystem. So this funnel would consist of 8 steps that include the initial screening of blockchain projects, quick research on their technologies, products, and services these projects are building. Basically, we would reach out to these projects and would look to get them on a call to get to know each other and discuss ideas regarding partnerships with Horizen. If there's an interest on both sides, we will be looking to take these opportunities to the next stage by getting our product or technical teams involved to discuss collaboration on a more kind of practical and technical level. Furthermore, if there's also at this point an agreement of minds, we will be looking to develop a shared roadmap decide on resource allocation, and we'll look to formalize the partnerships with, let's say, a memorandum or a letter of intent. So, then it would be taking the new partnerships to the development stage, where these projects would be building out applications or utilize our infrastructure and looking to join our ecosystem. To give you some numbers, last week we reached out to more than 50 projects already, and we have already heard back from around 20 of them. Important to note, we have already 7 calls lined up in the following days, which in my view indicates a very healthy interest in what Horizen has to offer and the advantages of our Zendu scalability solution. So really happy about that, really happy about the first indications. We are now preparing for those lined up calls and continuing to reach out to new projects every day. So yes, really our aim is to reach out to many more projects in the following weeks and months, get on as many calls as we can, get as many partnerships in our ecosystem. And so follow along. This is a really exciting journey, and I will keep you updated on the next calls. Thanks.
Thank you, Kaspers. And I'll just add, having participated now with Kaspers in a number of calls, these calls are so interesting with other blockchain projects. We're learning so much about what the needs are of these other projects and the interest level that they have and what we're offering. And so I think the plan on our end is after we've compiled, let's say, 10, 20, 30 of these calls, we'll share some of that intel back to the team here so we can at least give feedback and guidance from what we're hearing from our prospective customers as to what they like, what they don't like, what they wish we did, what we don't do, et cetera, et cetera. So that's it on the BD side. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Awesome news. Let's continue now with Lucy for the marketing updates.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. So let's start with the developer community growth. So we had a 0.78% increase in our early adopter program enrollment and 6.4% increase on HTE user signups. And all that brings our total developer growth to 1.46%. So steady growth as usual. And also I mentioned during last quarterly live stream that we are making a one-stop page for all the resources a developer will need to learn to use our SDK. So these resources include things like webinars, videos, tutorial articles, documentation, and software downloads. So this knowledge base is almost ready to go live. We will release it soon this week. With this one-stop knowledge base, people will not need to try to locate materials at different places. And so and we will also add new materials onto the page as well as we constantly make them. And so, for example, we are publishing new episodes for the how to make a custom DApp video series. Therefore, if you are a developer and are interested in using our Zendu SDK, it's really important for you to join our early adopter program, so you will be notified as soon as the new materials become available. And also another thing is our first halving is coming up soon. The ETA is the beginning of December. So to anticipate any questions our community may have about the Zen halving, we have prepared a frequently asked questions blog to address the common questions. So it's published in our news portal, and we will share it on our social media as well. And lastly, I know we have been hinting some partnership announcement for a while now. They're still coming, okay? We're just wrapping things up. Once a partnership is out, we will have many, many more. So hopefully, more new partnerships from Dean and Kasper's team. So definitely stay tuned. That's it for me. Thanks. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, Lucy. Rolf, would you like to add any comments or updates today?
Not today. Thanks,
Thank you. And now let's welcome Rob for the final part in Q&A session.
Thank you, Angie. So everyone, you've heard some great progress on basically all fronts on our end. In particular, just want to reiterate how much is going on the engineering and product side, getting the latest Zendu release with by the way, third-party audit findings that we had earlier in the year have been integrated, tested, and everything's looking solid for the release. And like we were kind of joking internally, as this is the first release we actually had ready to go and completely tested well in advance. So actually really, really happy just with the way that we do business now, the way that our team functions, operates, and just the responsibility that we have on, some of the most important things we do. Also, you heard about a pretty amazing 17 times performance growth going from CPU to GPU computations using the circuit. So this is huge and absolutely critical for getting our product out there in a useful way. And you can see the progress continues there. And the product team is making running sidechains much more efficient, writing scripts, testing, and some cool news. Just a little fact that made me happy this morning on the product team call is we have some test sidechains that have been up and live and not seized for 2 weeks now. And that's pretty cool because we did for sure have some growing pains early on, rightfully so, because we released a beta product that was in its earliest stages of maturity. And we are trying, at least the product team, I should say, is trying as hard as to beat it up as much as it can so that we can resolve any open issues and just become experts in getting this thing deployed so we can make it much easier for the community and any other businesses that want to use it. Okay, so all that out of the way and all good news. Now I'm going to say some stuff. Basically, it's a little bit sad to say, or I should say a lot sad to say in a way, but ZBF, the foundation, will be de-scoping actually across the board. So this is, we're doing basically preemptive move here in advance of the halving, because we know that we have Zen scheduled to come into the treasury, is scheduled to be cut in half. And we've had repeated questions from the community on Weekly Insiders on the live stream. And that's why Lucy mentioned we have a Q&A, a blog going live, because it is a big issue. Everyone knows it. Everyone can do the math on how much Zen is coming into the treasury and how much economic value that Zen retains based on its market price. And we have to scale down. So what we're going to do is we're de-scoping across the board, and we're going to focus all of our operations on really the things that we think are absolutely key and core to our competitive advantage in the long term. This also is, I have to say, from a personal perspective and just doing business behind the scenes here, guys, I know everyone here joins us weekly, either live or watches the YouTube, and you get a flavor for how we operate and what we're doing. But what you don't know is how much work goes on behind the scenes. So what you're getting here is, in a way, at least some sort of curated, important summary of what's going on. But there's so much volume of work going on behind the scenes, and the team that has been working on this project for so long has been operating under conditions of extreme uncertainty for just too long. So also as a way of getting some sanity back on how we operate, and also for the people that are going to be affected by this, we are going to downsize and we're going to focus. And I'll tell you what the remaining focus is going to be for the foundation. So a few absolutely critical areas. So obviously, the node tracking payment system will continue to operate. We need to continue to get fund flows out to various stakeholders in the ecosystem. But what we will be doing is halting additional development of the system and keeping it in maintenance mode for now. Core development is obviously continuing, maintaining ZenD, like you heard about the recent ZenD release, and we're going to continue maintaining our core software, obviously, but also importantly, getting Zendu to mainnet. This is absolutely critical, and the foundation will continue supporting engineering work to get Zendu to mainnet. Side note, there was an enormous amount of work that Horizen Labs is doing on companion work to get Zendu to mainnet, in particular the Lattice full implementation, but that's another thing I'll mention shortly. Also, another key role for the foundation will be to maintain its function as a communications hub for the ecosystem. So this will be maintaining community forums, things like Discord here, Telegram group, and just blog and other ways that we communicate to the community, and also amplifying good news and partnerships via PR. So we're going to continue all of these operations. I think this is a key function of what we're going to continue doing as a foundation. And then there are things that we're divesting from here. So some things off of the top of my head, well, not off the top of my head, I did take notes here. We are going to be divesting the faucet in Zen Hub. And this will really be divesting it to our partner, Pipeline Marketing. So for those that love using these systems that we have out there, you can continue to use them, but they won't be run by the foundation. The support desk, unfortunately, is something that we're going to have to divest since we just can't continue to support it with our current resources. Sphere by Horizen Development will pause after all sidechain work is complete. So what this means is for new features, we're just not going to schedule or program them in now for development, just because we don't have the resources to spread around right now. We need to focus on the core engineering. This is something that we've been talking about open sourcing for too long. I do want to plan to open source it. I can tell you what the bottleneck has been, and the bottleneck remains, by the way. So be patient with this, please, as you have been. Open sourcing it responsibly means either having a third-party audit and or having an internal security review, so that we make sure that things that we release on the code base side are not able to be exploited. If there is some unforeseen element there or unforeseen vulnerability that we don't think exists, but we haven't had a third-party audit on it. So these two things require resources, and they are not resources that we have scheduled right now. We're going to continue focusing on the core engineering work. Node tracking improvements, like I said, will pause. Business development, you've heard some great updates here, and we've just spun up this new strategy and team with Kaspers and Dean to execute this along with Vano. We are going to be carving this out and migrating it over to Horizen Labs. The reality is, as we've started this process, we realize we're actually getting a whole bunch of new contracts for Horizen Labs with partners. So we're going to accelerate it there. And we're going to de-scope from the foundation just so we can focus. There will be big G&A reductions. This is general and administrative expenses for the foundation. These include HR, these include management, including me, by the way, and other management elements to the project. We're just going to be cutting. A lot of this we've been doing with people not being paid right now, but we have been just accruing deferred comp on books. If and when we could actually pay these things, we're going to stop that. So including for me, I'm going to be working on this project. Really, with the work that I'm going to do with the foundation is going to be voluntary, and my job will be 100% on Horizen Labs. And by the way, big, huge caveat there. I shouldn't have just said that haphazardly. Is I'm still managing this project, managing the foundation, so I'm not going anywhere, guys. I'm just not going to be billing for it. So big difference there. Now, also, we just need to reduce scope of work. We do an enormous volume of things behind the scenes, like I mentioned before. And just one example of this is we release a ton of communications to the community, everything from video content and so forth. We are going to have to look really hard at the scope of everything that we do, everything. Basically go through all of our tasks lists and every task that every division has, and just cut it at a minimum in half. I'd like to actually overcorrect and just de-scope significantly here. This could include on the communication side, but still we need to figure it out. Maybe quarterly live streams. These actually take a ton of resources to put together. And as we're de-scoping, we need to think very carefully about, do we need a live stream every quarter when we do these weekly, by the way, maybe bi-weekly, I don't know, team updates, because we want to have still a relatively high frequency of communication with the community, because this is a core function of the foundation, but we need to just make sure we balance that with the appropriate amount of resources. One thing we will not be doing, I refuse to do with the team, is to, unfortunately downsize the team, but then keep the same scope of work. That's just not going to happen. We're going to de-scope the amount of work that we do. Everything from the tweets we do, to newsletters we do, to blogs, all that stuff we scale down in frequency. And just like I said, in general, just look through everything that we do and figure out where we're going to be cutting. Okay, that said, that sounds horrible. It is, on the one hand, quite depressing, because I stand by this team that we've put together. I think has been phenomenal. And unfortunately, we just can't support the same scope of operations. But Horizen Labs is continuing charging forward. Horizen Labs will be shouldering the brunt of the call it resource burden here on getting some of these really key and core differentiating deliverables to market. This includes pushing Zendu to mainnet. Horizen Labs will be continuing pushing on its side, continuing to complete the proving system, which includes the incentive system, the snark circuit, optimizations, integration to the SDK. All of these things we mention all the time on the engineering side are not going to be reduced. We're going to continue charging forward on full steam on those. Product team is still ramping up work with other partners, and we're going to have more announcements. Like Lucy said, we have a little bit of a bottleneck on announcements here, just because we have one journal that has been just delaying releasing this PR, and we have a backlog of other announcements that we want to do. We really wanted to get this first really important one out there. So you're going to hear more. We're not going to be cutting these types of projects or partnerships. We're going to continue building this blockchain factory that I talked about. It's just that work will reside on the Horizen Lab side, and we will continue to inform you, the community, on what we're doing. Okay, so wrapping this up, in the end, this is all on me. I'm not blaming unforeseen market forces on any of this so that I can abscond without responsibility. That is not at all what we're doing. As the guy running the foundation, it's ultimately my decision to build the team that we have here, its composition, who we hired, why we hired them, what they were working on. All of that, at the end of the day, came down to my responsibility. So I for sure shoulder the responsibility of scaling up, then having to scale down. And we've learned a lot along the way, and we'll be very circumspect with how we operate. But at the same time, we're not going to be timid. So we're not going to have something like this get in our way from delivering just the enormous value that we're doing as a project and growing the Horizen ecosystem. We're going to continue pushing forward hard on that. Like I said, I hold immense respect for everyone on this team, including those that unfortunately we're just not going to be able to retain scope-wise. And the team has endured ridiculous volatility for years. They've sacrificed peace of mind. They've sacrificed income in many circumstances. The team has worked on half pay at various times over the years. Some people volunteering entirely. And this is something that is not normal. You don't find companies typically that, people, when they're told they can't be paid or you can't pay them, you have to cut their pay in half. They typically leave. They don't stick around and still want to work with us. This team has. So everyone here has tremendous respect for, but because I respect them, we're not going to be asking people to work for free. It's just not going to happen. I truly hope that we retain all of these amazing people in our community, and we're going to try to cultivate more opportunities for things like the Horizen Community Council. And I want to see people get active. I want to see this organization active. I want to see the community really come together and have more of an active leadership role in where the project goes. So anyway, I guess the bottom line is I want to give a huge heartfelt thank you, and thank everyone who's been part of this for their grit, their integrity, their passion, their loyalty. And again, just to reiterate, this is not normal. The project that we have here, the team that we have is absolutely phenomenal, outstanding. We will continue, and hopefully everyone, if they can't be on the team formally because we just can't make payroll, I really do encourage everyone that's been part of this to stay with the project, at least as community leaders, as they have been all along. I hope this explanation and description of why the foundation's downsizing makes sense. Horizen Labs as well is going to be downsizing just the scope of work that it provides to the foundation, because we have to cut expenses everywhere, and Horizen Labs will be shouldering more of the burden. And we're not giving up. This is by no means a capitulation where the project is going away. This is a narrowing of our focus and just really powering hard into the things that matter most right here and delivering our core technology. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But I'm extremely optimistic and really excited where this project is today. So I'll stop here and we can open up to any questions.
Thank you, Rob. So the first question is, can you talk about InstaSend, SendPub, SendGrid? Are they still active?
As an example, or let me just say, we had a bunch of things that we wanted to do in the first roadmap for the project. We've mentioned at various points in time, essentially de-scoping these things like, ZenPub and so forth. And that is true today still. So the things that we're focusing on today are the things that we're going to focus on. We're not extending the scope of our technical deliverables at all. We're purely focusing right now on the things that I just mentioned, in particular getting Zendu to mainnet and then getting the Lattice full implementation done with the Snark proving circuit. And then from there, we'll re-baseline. We'll think about the 2021 roadmap and 2022 roadmap. But there are things that I would say, hands down, are far more important than some of those early deliverables like Zen Grid or Zen Pub that we imagined early on. And some of these include other things that we imagined early on, like the DAO voting system. I think this is absolutely critical. And we've mentioned this before. So as we're thinking through the 2021 roadmap and beyond, once we have Zendu to mainnet, which will happen roughly mid-year, what are we going to do from there? What are going to be some of the first key infrastructure sidechains that we build? I still stand by our commitment to that treasury voting system. And this just plays more into now trying to get the community more involved and getting the community council up and running is a precursor to all of that. So no, we're not going to continue on all of the things that we've actually formally announced that we've discontinued on. Now they are in that kind of set of real options that we do have in the future of doing things like Zen Grid or Zen Pub, but they're not now on our roadmap.
Okay, and the second question is, how can we make the price of Zen go to the moon?
That is the eternal question. Yeah, guys, I make no, I think Dean's on the call, our general counsel, so I'm not going to make any claims on the price of Zen. He will not be happy. But really, this project, the first and most important thing is to get the project healthy. We're doing amazing things on the technology side, the product side, and just the way that we operate and communicate to the community. We're going to continue delivering on these things. We're not giving up on them at all. We're just down scoping. And then from here, once we have a healthy project within the bounds of budget, and we have to, like I said, we're being preemptive here because we know that we have a scheduled halving of the Zen in our budget. Once we know that we're healthy, once we get through the halving and we have dust settles and all these partnerships that we're building are announced to the world, then we'll see where we're going. But I could not be more excited about the project, and hopefully the market jumps on board as well.
Okay, and the third and final question is, when Coinbase?
Another tough question. You guys are really on fire today. The standard answer is we have no idea. Coinbase is just too professional to tell anyone, to let information leak at all. Remember the old phrase, loose lips sink ships? Same is true here, or definitely true here with Coinbase. So they don't tell us. On our end, we're doing everything that we can to support the listing, which comes down to the Rosetta integration and the fact that we have made this, our top priority on the engineering side in the short term was a reflection of that, just the enthusiasm to support Coinbase any way we can. And then from there, it's really out of our control. So I wish I could give you guys an answer, but I would just say stay tuned and reach out to Coinbase if you want us listed. The more that they hear from our community, the better.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. So those were the top 3 questions. Thank you, everyone, for attending our Weekly Insider as usual. Remember, we do this every Monday at 3:30 p.m. UTC on Discord and YouTube to give you all our latest updates. We wish you all a very, very good week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.